Hello YouTubers, it's me, you and me too, and welcome to Memory Card, the show where we dust out the cartridge and jog your memory files on forgotten facts, trivia, and theories from games. Today we're jumping into some big green pipes and smashing some brick blocks as we head into the Mushroom Kingdom to try and find out some of the Mario franchise's greatest secrets. But before we set off to the Mushroom Plains, let's divulge the creation of gaming's greatest hero. In fact, Mario might not have even existed unless the guys behind the legendary Popeye comic strips pulled out of a deal with Nintendo to make a Popeye arcade game. With this deal falling through, Nintendo decided to take the basic concept of the characters and rework them into a new idea. Popeye became Mario, Olive became Pauline, and Bluto became Donkey Kong. This marked the first time in history that the game's storyline preceded the game's programming. Of course, by this point the only character with a name was Donkey Kong. The name's origins vary. One story claims he was intended to be called Monkey Kong, but was misspelled or misheard via either a blurry fax or a faulty phone connection. An alternative theory is that Kong is typical slang for gorilla in Japan, and Miyamoto associated the word donkey for stupid and stubborn, thus the name Donkey Kong, or Stupid Gorilla. Pauline, on the other hand, was simply called The Lady, and Mario was famously named Jumpman. But this was not in fact his original title. At first he was simply Osan, Japanese for middle-aged man. It then became Mr. Video when he had been more fleshed out. Miyamoto intended to use him for all his future games. Although other characters obviously were later made, it has been said the idea of using Mr. Video in several different genres certainly came into fruition. As for the name Mario, the most widely accepted theory is that the name came from Nintendo of America's landlord, Mario Segale, who angrily burst into their office demanding rent when they were coming up with names. When someone pointed out the similarities between the two's appearances, the name stuck. Of course, Donkey Kong takes place in a construction site due to Mario's original job being a carpenter. Since then, he's more well known as a plumber, hence the green pipes, but in reality he's actually been through a huge amount of different professions, including composer, carpenter, chef, monkey tamer, hockey player, artist, tennis player, golfer, juggler, archaeologist, fireman, painting, cement mixer, race car driver, bounty hunter, pinball paddle, soldier, time traveller, basketball player, skier, doctor, baseball player, toy tycoon, pilot, demolition expert, biker, wrestling referee, filmmaker, professional tennis player, dancer, actual pinball, spaceman, tennis referee, circus leader, snake charmer, deep sea diver, ball tamer, musician, and a football player. And probably a ton more which I've forgotten. If you guys can think of any more, make sure to post in the comments. Actually, Mario did have a short, if not unwanted job, as a cleaner, which links into our next bit of trivia. Mario Sunshine. It houses a ton of unused content. For example, the red coin missions of Noki Bay. It features a ruined building at the bottom of the bottle. By rotating the camera, you can see that just behind the door of this building lies a book that is never referenced in-game. Now there's no way to get to the book, and it's indeed part of the model, making its use completely unknown. Likely it's a leftover from an earlier part of development. Another secret is within Pinter Park, where if you're clever enough, you can glitch your way into seeing an old Goomba texture hidden beneath a ride that appears nowhere else in the game. Considering there's no normal Goombas present within the final version, it's even more out of place. Finally, the textures for Ely Mouth reveal an early version of Ricco Harbour, likely put there as a placeholder for shading effects. Aside from some low resolution textures, you can also see an early skinny looking flood and the original blooper design. Believe me though, we've only just scratched the surface of Mario Sunshine's secrets, and we'll be returning soon in depth to look at some of the beta secrets in an episode of From Concept to Console. Oh no! It's the weirder trivia alarm! This thing only goes off when there's some really odd info to share with you guys. Well, I wonder what it's found. Oh dear. Well, okay. You know how Mario has appeared in over 200 games, had 3 TV shows, comic books, and even a terrible movie? Well, how many of you knew about his venture into ice skating musicals? That's right, Mario on Ice. Back in 1989, an American show called The Icecapades dedicated an entire episode to Nintendo and Super Mario. What this resulted in was acting like this.
I don't believe it. What is it? Nintendo!
Costumes like this.
Who could have done such a dastardly thing?
And this.
The Koopa virus is on the loose, and you know how painful that can be.
Songs like this.
Don't mess around with me. I'm conniving and I'm crude, pretty as a pop.
And a plot involving the NES hard drive. You know, that non-existent one. You can find the full Mario part of the show on YouTube, so if Luigi repeatedly shooting Koopa Troopers is your thing, check it out. Mario Galaxy also hosts a lot of cut content. For example, several leftover objects indicate at one point you could cut things using your spin. Other objects include a fully functional Bowser bomb, a penguin in a hat, trampolines, a variety of switches and blocks, some that look straight out of Zelda and others that have oddly high textures. There's even a couple of vehicles just the right size for Mario that are unused. The Super Mushroom never appears in the game itself, but still remains in the code and played an important part in the development of being a stand-in for Mario while the developers programmed the character movements. A lot of unused characters also exist in-game, including an early Luma, a terrifying variation on piranha plants, the bullies from Mario 64, an ice monster, a fake toad creature, aquatic spinies, some strange blob animals, one of which was present in the early demo, and what seems to be an elderly Luma that bears a strong resemblance to the Millennium Star from Mario Party. Strangely, a lot of out-of-place bugs remain in the code and share similarities with the final butterfly in-game. 2 last leftovers in the game are the planet used in the original E3 demo, named Home Planet, and the Starman Fortress, a very early idea that was redesigned repeatedly. It featured a ton of different terrain and was the original location for Megaleg. The 2 pipes weren't even warps, they were actually connected properly to one another. And finally, a couple of models for this planet still exist. I personally find it quite a shame the planet didn't make it into either of the Galaxy games. It was clearly a favourite of the designers as it was remade so many times. Finally, to top off our Mario trivia travels, we're going to dispel some misconceptions of the series, particularly ones that stem from Mario 64. While indeed it was revolutionary to the series, and indeed all of gaming, it didn't quite debut to everything. For instance, Mario's legendary voice by Charles Marionette in fact started off as an interactive stool, where he would speak to passers-by as Mario. This is still done by Nintendo to this day. The voice's first appearance within a game was Mario's Fundamentals, a not well received edutainment game, a whole year before Mario 64.
Great! I'm like go fish?
Princess Peach was also believed to be called Princess Toadstool in the West, until Mario 64. This is again incorrect. The name Peach was used since the start in Japan, but first mentioned in the US release of Yoshi Safari. Now the 2 names are joined together to make Princess Peach Toadstool. The final mistake people make is that the iconic floating disembodied Mario head didn't arrive in Mario 64 either, instead appearing just beforehand in Mario Teaches Typing 2, though admittedly in a far more terrifying fashion, though his dialogue is actually pretty funny. I'd go give it a listen.
I'm going to fly for you. I hate my nose.
Well, that's all the trivia we've got for today. But tune in next time, where we're going to tackle another gaming series. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, post in the comments. Until then, make sure to check out my other shows, such as From Concept to Console, and please remember to like and subscribe. And now to play us out, King Koopa!
I am a rude, hearty dude, mean as I can be. Ha ha! Oh yes, don't mess around with me. I'm conniving and I'm crude, tricky as a fox. Ha ha! Oh yes, I'll beat you to your top. Yes! Please do you give up the fight. I must be sneaky. You will turn your back and I'll catch you off your guard. You can never win tonight. I am far too sneaky. When it comes to winning, Buster, I am number one. I'm a rude, hearty dude, mean as I can be. Ha ha! Oh yes, don't mess around with me. I'm conniving and I'm crude, tricky as a fox. Ha ha! Oh yes, I'll beat you to your stuff.
That was fantastic. See you next time. Okay, bye-bye. Peekaboo.